We're driving a Ford Maverick. It's a little pickup truck, and we're gonna cover all of the updates for 2026. Plus, I have a confession to make.
But first, here's how much the Maverick costs.
These materials are not particularly expensive, but it doesn't feel like cheap and sad in here. It feels fun and playful. I love all the color. This material here is really unique. It seems very practical and wipeable. And I love how it looks like you can take it apart with one of those tools from IKEA.
An Allen wrench, sweetie?
Yes.
I think the doors are a really good example too. We've got this, it's almost like a slate color, and then you get the little blue inserts, and it's so functional too because you've got like a really tall area for a big bottle, multiple bottle holders below. In the front doors, you've got a little extension that's kind of a sneaky hidey space where you could put, let's say, an umbrella. And then this center section here.
I love the blue color and the fact that you can pull them out, which makes it super easy to clean. This phone zone is enormous. Lots of room for multiple phones and adjacent charge ports.
Little slots to put like microphones. And then the center console storage area is impressively deep. You go to the back seat, you'll find similar levels of storage in the doors. And then you can also flip those seats up and there's storage zone underneath. You can even flip the rear seat back forward a little bit. That's where you'll find the jack, but there's also just a little extra storage there. So stylish, so functional. Oh, and there's also a little notch back here where you can add 3D printed, add-ons. I literally know one guy who's into 3D printing, but if you're that guy, there's a notch. Moving to the front seats, I find them to be a very comfortable place to sit. They're soft, but not like too soft. There's actually a pretty good amount of lateral support.
When I'm in the driver's seat, one thing I wish is that you could adjust the tilt on the seat forward a little bit. I feel like my knees are riding a little high, which makes it hard to hit the pedals. Short people problems.
Seated behind my ideal front seat position, there is room for me to fit comfortably. My knees certainly clear. Great headroom. That even works in the middle position. My only issue with the rear seats is that the seat back is more vertical than I would like. I like a little bit more of a reclined position. Kiddo, while you're back there, let me ask you, how do you like sitting in the back of the Maverick? That working for you?
Yeah.
What about climbing in and out? Any challenges?
No challenges.
Oh, and then what did you think about sitting in that middle position? Did that work okay?
Not as comfy as the seat I'm sitting in right now, but it's workable.
It looked like your feet were a little bit confined, but for a short hop, that might be okay. Even though it's just a little pickup truck, there's a lot to talk about in the bed region. Let's take a moment to look at the bed here. So it's 4.5 feet long. We've got a tailgate here, which is optionally power lockable on our trim. Now that's not a damn tailgate, as you may have noticed, but it does have a trick, which is that you can do a 2-position thing. If you just bring the cables up here, then you can have it at a raised position. So if you have a bunch of gear in here, it'll angle up and won't necessarily slide out, easier to secure. As we climb in here, our particular tester has the spray-in bed liner, but we also have a bunch of other cool functionality. For example, if you look down here, we've got these little D-rings for tying things down, bikes, motorcycle, that kind of thing. Also have adjustable tie downs along the side here. The version we have has a power outlet right here and also lighting. And then if we go to the other side, there's a little nook over here for just a little supplemental storage. That's a decent amount of space. And then if you look on here, you can use this QR code to pull up some neat little projects for using what they call the flex bed. But a lot of that comes down to the slots that they have in here for putting in 2x4s. So this right here and here, you can partition the space, create like an upper deck, lower deck. There's all sorts of ways to use it. It's not a huge bed, but it is extremely flexible. Flex bed. Also, it's like they sprayed it to be clean, so it's really slippery in there. Careful. And you know what? I was supposed to mention that I'm wearing flying eye sunglasses, but if you want super bendy eyewear, very flexible, comfortable under a headset or helmet, flying eyes. One thing I forgot to mention is that because the Maverick is a low-slung vehicle, the bedsides aren't that high, so you can like lift a thing over the side while standing on the ground, and it's easy to access the bed. Sweetie, what's the car seat situation?
There are 3 top tethers, which you'll find hidden behind that seat back. There are also lower anchors in the outboard positions. I'm 5'2", behind a workable front seat position for myself. There is room for a rear-facing car seat back there.
As for safety, it's kind of an interesting mixed bag. So it's overall 4-star rated from the NHTSA, which we really do like to see 5 stars. Go to the IIHS, and the Maverick rated marginal in one of the categories for the moderate overlap front test, but it's a weird one because it's not about impact or intrusion. It's actually about rear restraints and dummy kinematics in the back seat. So it's, what happens is that the IIHS has their tests, everybody works to meet them, and then the IIHS changes their tests. So you have kind of this like wolf and deer dynamic where it's like they're constantly kind of escalating. I'm not too concerned about that IIHS test. I'm sure Ford engineers are thinking about how to update that. But moving over to active safety, while we do have automatic emergency braking and forward collision warning standard, what we don't have is lane departure warning. And these days, that's a little bit of an oversight. Though lane departure warning and lane keeping assist is available optionally. Oh, and for airbags, there are 7. Rear window test. All the way down, boop. Armrest test. Driving in a comfortable 8 and 4, relatively easy access both inboard and outboard. There's a strong squish factor for the outboard. Inboard though, we've got this plastic seam that lands right where my elbows are, and it's got a little stitching right on top. Using the all-new Micah Muzio Fuzzy Bunny armrest test, the Ford Maverick rates a 3 out of 5. Moving to In Motion. If you didn't know there was a bed on the back, you might not think this was a pickup truck. It kind of drives like a car. I said like.
It's just how much you like it.
You're just driving this thing around because it's not that tall and it's a unibody vehicle. It just kind of feels like driving, I don't know, like a compact car around. Now there are a few caveats to that. Steering wise, it has the true rubbery feel where when you're adding steering angle, it doesn't really set there. It's constantly pulling you back to center, and that's not the greatest feeling for steering a vehicle. Nonetheless, it does go around corners with plenty of eagerness. I'm finding the ride to be very comfortable, not too loud in here. It's a very, very pleasant driving car for the price point and for the premise. And doubly so because they offer it as a standard hybrid. In fact, I'm gonna floor it right now. Let's see what we got in terms of power. Floored. Whee! Took a little moment for the engine revs to come in, and then eventually we did get that pull. And I noticed that driving around, that there's like a little delay when you really need maximum power, but ultimate power is enough to get you around. Now we have the hybrid version, but they also offer an EcoBoost version, which is more powerful. If we were to buy this, I think the hybrid would be the way to go because it's so incredibly efficient. Just driving around, it's fine and you don't really think about it in terms of how it's delivering that power. We have an ECVT and it's good. I have noticed a little bit of like clunkiness or something, when you're going at very slow speed. It's very, very subtle, so I'm almost reluctant to mention it. But the thing I have noticed is that when you come off the accelerator, I'm off, it kind of keeps adding regen, and it's a little bit uncertain how much you're gonna slow down. So like in our hilly mountain town where you're coming down a hill, sometimes you're like, do I have to add some accelerator now? Because it kind of keeps trying to slow me down, and then you're like kind of fighting with the regen a little bit. I was looking for a setting. No, there's no setting. It's just, you do have a low button, but even with the low button not activated, the regen is a little bit uncertain. By the way, that low button gives you a little extra regen. So there are some nuances to the powertrain, but again, it's so efficient for a thing that has a bed on the back. By the way, we do have a couple of modes. There's normal, eco, slippery, sport mode. Let's see what that's like. I'm in sport mode now. Actually, that does feel like snappier responses from the powertrain, kind of heavies up the steering a little bit. Okay, I actually might use that if I was trying to drive with gusto.
Are you ever not trying to drive with gusto?
You've raised a really good point, sweetie. Let me just leave that active. We do have an opportunity to stop here. Hybrids oftentimes have weird brake feel. Let's see if I can come to a smooth, limo-like stop. That's a kind of an artificial, weird feeling brake, and I'm trying very hard.
The end was totally smooth, but like before we got there, it was a little...
Was that luck? Like what happened? That was a very, very smooth stop, but I'm not sure to what I can attribute it. All I know is that the brake feel is a little bit odd, but we made it work. And now going the opposite direction, I'm gonna floor it and see what this thing is like off from a stop, floored. Now that feels good. This feels punchier from a stop than it does when you're already in motion because you get that electric torque off the line, and that's when the electric motor is like ready to make its most power. Straight off the line, that feels good. That's what I think about driving the Ford Maverick. What does Sweetie think? Evie's at the wheel. Tell me, Sweetie, what is it like driving a pickup truck that's not a behemoth?
Driving a large pickup truck through parking lots is really stressful for me, and this is way easier to pick my way through. Ooh, I really appreciate how zippy this is off the line.
We live in a place with a zillion blind corners, so yeah, having that punchy electric pull right up the stop is really reassuring. What about steering this thing?
We have never been more aligned on an assessment of a vehicle. You know how you said the steering was like a rubber band? I completely know what you're talking about. Even I noticed. That said, I really did enjoy driving this around. It feels very comfortable. It doesn't feel floaty like I was expecting since it's a pickup truck. Really, actually fun to drive.
What about visibility? Any challenges?
Visibility is good all around, and it is exceptionally good behind me. That rear window is very wide.
If you're in the market for a tiny, cute little pickup truck, are there any game killers that would keep you from driving a Ford Maverick?
No game killers here. In fact, I would enjoy driving this.
At some point, our old Honda CR-V is gonna die. Maybe there's a Maverick in our future. All right, I'm getting back in the driver's seat. Moving onward to remarks. I am so excited that this 13.2-inch screen comes standard. There's no like crappy little screen that's like, oh, I don't want to get that version because it's got the crappy little screen. You just get a good screen.
It looks great. It's a very clean looking interface. It is a little bit monochromatic for differentiating the different icons out of the corner of your eye, but it's laid out in a way that makes a lot of sense, and I found it very easy to use.
And it's funny because it's like maybe you don't need that much differentiation because there's just not that much to choose from. It's so simple. It's almost like it's leaning on the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto integration to get most of the key functions done, but it's super simple. And then you do have physical buttons down here, the absolute essentials. I like that they dedicate a button so you're not being bombarded with visual information. And then you got a volume knob. Never get rid of the volume knob, Ford.
What they have gotten rid of is the HVAC buttons. They are integrated into the screen, which normally I really don't like, but these are simple enough that I find it easy to use. And I do appreciate that these offer a slider so you can have maximum control or fine control. The screen is at an interesting angle. It's kind of top forward, which I think is probably to prevent glare, and I haven't found it affects usability at all.
In the beginning of this video, I did tease that we were going to talk about all the updates for 2026. Here goes. You can now get the EcoBoost engine with front-wheel drive, which actually saves a little bit of money. Really interestingly, you can either get the hybrid front-wheel drive or the EcoBoost all-wheel drive for the exact same price. That makes all-wheel drive traction a little bit more accessible. They've made a conventional spare tire more widely available. It's now a standalone option, which I love. And then for the Lariat and Tremor trims, they offer an optional new realigned rear window. And I was like, what does that mean? Do you know what a realigned rear window means in the Maverick? Tell us in the comments. Oh, and then there's new paint color, Orange Fury Metallic. And that's all the changes for 2026. Also, I promised I had a confession to make. Here's the confession. This is a 2025 Ford Maverick. Oh no! And you know what? You didn't even notice up until this point. It's the one that was available in the press fleet, but everything we said applies to the 2026 model year. Thank you for tolerating our terrible, terrible lies. And by the way, if that's the worst lie you've experienced today, congratulations. We should take a quick moment to talk about two really interesting Maverick variants. One is the Lobo trim. The Lobo trim is made for like autocrossing and stuff. It's got a torque vectoring rear differential. It's lowered, it's got bigger brakes, it's a sport-tuned suspension, and one really interesting thing is it's got a mechanically identical 8-speed automatic transmission, but they have electronically deleted second gear. So it's not going back and forth between second and third gear when you're driving on an autocross track. It's a 7-speed auto, but mechanically identical to the 8-speed. Isn't that weird? And then, of course, there's the Tremor version of the Maverick, which has a raised off-road suspension, and it's got that same twin-clutch rear differential with a locking function. And to make sure you know it's ready to go off-road, orange trim. That's the Tremor. And now let's take a look under the hood in a test inspired by my buddy Brian. Here's how you open the hood on a Ford Maverick. Pull that thing twice, and then here's where you check the engine oil. Here's where you can add engine oil. Over on the left side, that's where you add the washer fluid, and if you're wondering what the Maverick's horn sounds like, all right, let's talk engine choices. The base engine is a 2.5-liter inline 4-cylinder hybrid. Man, that's efficient for a pickup truck. There's also the EcoBoost engine, which is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. On all trims, the tow maxes out at 2,000 pounds unless you get that 4K tow package, which, as you've rightly intuited, maxes out at 4,000 pounds.
Sweetie. please share our trim recommendation.
I will. Our trim recommendation is which trim will give you the essential Maverick features you'd regret not getting, but at the lowest possible price. The base Maverick XL trim lacks smart key access, but the XLT has it, so we'd spend an extra $2,500 for the XLT, which, beyond smart key access, also includes 10 bed tie downs, a trailer hitch with a 4-pin connector, a power tailgate lock, and that big old 13.2-inch screen. The Ford Maverick's prime competitor is the similarly priced Hyundai Santa Cruz. Otherwise, it's up against mid-sizers like the Chevrolet Colorado, Honda Ridgeline, or Toyota Tacoma. Did we miss any remarks? If so, tell us in the comment section. And now it's our daughter's time to shine. Child, can you tell us, what is your favorite feature in the Ford Maverick?
The color on the outside, that's apparently called avalanche green.
No, it's eruption green. But very, very close. Some sort of tragedy is going to befall us, but it'll be green and look lovely and metallic.
He thought it was avalanche green too, and that's why I still think it is. So it's all his fault.
It's actually called Godzilla Attack Green, Oregon Trail Dysentery Green.
Oh no.
Actually, that works better than I would have thought.
Yes.
Family, I think we've done a good job reviewing the Ford Maverick. May I have a 5? And 5. You can get your high five. Oh, and thank you for all of your support over the last little bit here. This has been a really pivotal time for the channel, and we really love and appreciate all of the support you guys have shown us. Thanks, and high five. Bam! And now, our AI-generated synopsis song about the Ford Maverick.
Small, but it's mighty.